people of the internet, and welcome to a very long overdue video that I've been wanting to make for a rather long time. And if you can see the title, you already know it is the review to the infamous Kickstarter crowdfunded game Mighty Number 9. And of course, the reason why I have held off from reviewing this game for so long was because this game is actually very special in that obviously it is the well-known spiritual successor to the classic Mega Man franchise. And I knew that I couldn't talk about Mega Man without the one, the only Pete.
He has returned. He has come back. Actually, more like you came back.
Yes,
I've been here. I've been here waiting.
I've returned to the motherland that is America.
Yeah, we're back.
And so, yes, so as of course you guys know, I've been living in Japan for the last 10 months, and I'm back in San Diego for the holidays, and this allowed me to have the chance to meet up once again with my dearest friend, Pete.
My heart.
And we tried to do this over Skype, but unfortunately you were rather busy with some plans. What exactly were you doing this entire time, Pete? I'm sure it was nothing important, really.
I was only getting married to the love of my life, and moving into our own place, nothing big really, nothing big at all, nothing life changing, not a life changing experience.
It's not that important.
Not at all.
Yeah. Yes, if you remember, ladies and gentlemen, from our last collaboration, which was, I believe, our Deadpool review, way back in February, we mentioned that we had big plans ahead of us. We didn't exactly reveal those plans, but 10 months later, here we are. You're married with your own place. I'm living in Japan with my own place.
We both moved out.
Oh yeah, we did. We can no longer say that we are nerds living in our mother's basements. We are now living in our own respective, our own basements, essentially.
Our own man caves.
Our moan man caves, yes.
Our moan man caves?
Moan man caves. Moan man caves. Obviously yours is bigger than mine. So, let's get right into things, shall we? I've actually, before we start, I do actually say that I've actually had some fans who have actually were wondering where you've been.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah, there are fans of mine who have actually, missed having you around.
Oh, that's cool!
Yeah. So, I feel like, even though everyone has already said their piece about Mighty Number 9, everyone who's had everything to say has said it already, but ever since I played the game for myself, thanks to you, I really want to get, a collaboration. Since, you are probably the most hardcore Mega Man fan I've known, to the point where you have your own coasters featuring Mega Man bosses on them.
Mega Man 2 boss coasters. Thanks, GameStop.
I feel like, there's no one else I'd rather talk about this than with you.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate you.
You're welcome. So, let's get started. First off, what has your experience been with the Blue Bomber? What is your deal with Mega Man?
It was my childhood. And it's funny because I only played one game. That's all it took. All I ever played was Mega Man X growing up. And ever since then, I had fallen in love with the game. And I remember going to the swap meets and seeing Mega Man X action figures, which is such BS because one, there was never really Mega Man X action figures, and they were super botted up in suits I had never seen in my life. So I always wanted to collect Mega Man stuff. And I actually didn't even know that the X series it's
a sequel series.
A sequel series, yeah. Not just a different series, but Mega Man had already had 6 games in at the time.
So, yeah.
It was about 6 games in before they started the X series. So yeah, it was one of the games I played the most on my Super Nintendo. I think I played it first at a friend's house, and I begged my dad for it. I begged him to get it. We went to the swap meet because that's where we got all of our games, and we picked it up, and I never stopped playing it. I think that's one of the first games I ever beat, which was really hard at the time, and it was definitely one of the first games that gave me the treat of the Hadouken. Yeah. That was one of the first cheat code secrets thing, that
Easter egg
that was just it just blew my mind. I'm like, this can't be true. It's not true. There's no way that
it's impossible.
It's impossible. Why would they include? Why would this be a thing? It's you back in the day, you'd always hear rumors of oh yeah, input this and you can be Zero,
and you can be Sonic in Smash Bros. Melee.
I was thinking that exact thing. Yeah. And so Yeah, I was like, this has got to be BS. This isn't a real thing.
Right.
And I remember just trying it, and it actually worked. And yeah, just Mega Man has been there ever since then.
He's always been there for me.
Yeah. Well, then I got
the brother I never had.
my friend had X5 on the PS1, so I played that. Then I got X6, and then I went back and played X4. Then most of my experience has been with the Mega Man X franchise. But I did get into Mega Man Legends, and I love the Legends games. They are another big part of my childhood. But just the franchise itself has had a very big impact on my life.
Right. Wow. Yeah. Would you say that Mega Man is your favorite fictional, or maybe your favorite video game character, if not your favorite fictional character?
It's hard to say because later Mega Man, it can be a little cringy sometimes, especially like the storylines of Mega Man 8 and whatnot.
What am I fighting for?
I definitely like the simplicity of it early on, and just like the text based. Usually once you start giving them voices, it can be a little on the cringy side, or it just gets taken too seriously. It is definitely one of my favorite franchises, but to say it's my favorite, I have too many favorite franchises.
Okay,
but it's definitely something I could easily come back to. I mean, I have my NES, and I'm trying to collect all the original Mega Man games.
Yeah, you're very sweet, like mother themed NES.
I definitely want to collect all the mother themed games. It's part of the reason why I didn't get the collection that came out recently.
Oh yeah.
So I don't want that. I really
you want like how they are in their original forms.
Yeah, exactly. That's more than anything. That's what I want.
So you never downloaded any of them on like Virtual Console?
No.
Or like PSN?
No, I did a whole bunch of them on emulators though.
Okay. You're like, it's free!
Well, you know what? Actually, those were probably some of the first emulated games I ever played. The Mega Man games, yeah.
I see. I guess when in comparison to you, my exposure to Mega Man has been a little bit more limited and kind of like more spread out among the different incarnations. My first exposure to Mega Man was the animated series by, what was it called? Ruby something?
Yeah, I didn't even know about that till you showed it to me. Yeah, until like high school.
High school.
I didn't have cable, so I don't know about anything like that.
I watched it on Fox Kids, I believe, on Saturday morning. Super Fighting Robot. Mega Man!
Never heard of that.
And like I discovered Mega Man X through that crossover episode.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, they had like Spark Mandrill and Vile involved. And for the longest time I always thought of Roll as like that older version of her, not like the one with the broom, the one with the power vacuum arm. So I think my first game was maybe Mega Man Legends or Mega Man 64.
You know what's funny though?
What?
Speaking of Legends, I saw so many early magazine publications, and even later on said that Mega Man Legends was one of the worst transitions from 2D to 3D.
Right. There's a lot of almost like an equal hate and love for that game.
But once Mega Man Legends 3 was canceled, everyone's loving
it. Where's Mega Man Legends?
Yeah.
Like, this is the game that gamers need right now.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm like,
of course it's Screw Attack. They're super negative about everything, if not, Sonic.
Yeah.
So because the Nintendo 64 was my first console, Legends turned out to be my first one. I knew the animated series, so I got the game, which is completely different, of course.
I personally can't imagine playing Mega Man Legends on the N64.
Really?
I played it on the PS1, and I think I had the analog controller already. So I just playing it on that. I can't imagine playing it on the N64. It just doesn't brain no comprehend.
And then skipping ahead a couple years, I ended up watching the Mega Man NT Warrior anime, which was that adaptation of the Battle Network series, and I played a little bit of the Battle Network franchise.
I played the crap out of the Battle Network franchise.
I had 3 Mega Man Battle Network 3 Blue
the best
version.
One
Really?
Best one in the series. Network 3, Blue Edition, White Edition, I don't care what you got.
I also played Mega Man Battle Network 5 for the DS, like the DS version that had like all the content from like the 2 Game Boy Advance versions.
I think that one was the Proto Man and Colonel one.
And I think then I played for the PSP Mega Man Powered Up and Maverick Hunter X. Those were like my exposure to like the classics era.
Yeah.
I did play a little bit of the I think Mega Man 1, 2, and 3 through emulators. I love the hell out of the Mega Man Zero and Mega Man ZX series.
Is fantastic. Never played ZX though.
Oh really? Okay. If you like Zero, then I think you'll like ZX.
Yeah, I've seen. I remember in high school you playing it.
Yeah. And I was able to play ZX Advent. I really liked that whole, like, it almost gave like a Power Ranger feel with the whole morphing with biometals. And so I guess the most of my experience came from handhelds. And console-wise, outside of Legends on the N64, I ended up getting Mega Man 3 on a GBA cartridge. I believe you still have around here, right?
Yes.
Okay.
GBA or NES?
Oh, sorry.
Like, what are you
NES.
talking about?
NES, yes. Anything else Mega Man related? I don't think so. That's like generally what I've had. So it's like I was introduced through Mega Man through other forms of media, and then eventually coming to learn of it. And I've always loved like that. The concept of Mega Man, which, like, you know, obviously blue is my favorite color. And so you see the, you know, he's a blue robot. He's cool. He has a cool design. His bosses have cool designs. They're just as memorable as him. Yeah. You know, it's that classic, the music. Oh God.
Iconic music. I will say, regressing from X to the original Mega Man franchise, I initially hated it.
Really?
I despised it. I could not. It wasn't that I didn't like the graphics. It was that it was so hard that I didn't have my chart shot. And I felt so limited by every single little thing. Pissed me off. But little by little, I came to love the games. They were there.
Is Mega Man X still your favorite incarnation?
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Definitely. Yeah. I do think the later games got worse, especially when they transitioned into 3D. And when they gave them voices. Like, but
Dr. Wyway.
as cringy, as bad as it is, I don't remember. I'm sure Command Mission is pretty bad.
What do you think of
I played a shit ton of Command Missions.
Do you remember like the anime that was attached to Mega Man Maverick Hunter X, Day of Sigma?
That was so good. I loved it. I really liked it. Very good animation, and it wasn't too cringy.
And he was voiced by Mega Man. Well, I guess most of the games he was voiced by the same voice actor who played Domon Kashu from my all-time favorite anime, G Gundam. Yeah. So it's like, and he even does the whole shining finger. So I think maybe that was like an homage. Who knows? Maybe the Japanese version of Mega Man X had the same voice actor from G Gundam.
Maybe.
Yeah, who knows? So, let's dive. Now we've discussed our experience with Mega Man. I feel like, you know, the audience knows that Mega Man has been a character that's been a part of our lives to some degree.
Who's been ripped apart and tortured and taken away from us way too many times.
He's been through the grinder. He's been through some hard times recently. And because of the numerous cancellations to Mega Man, it seemed like Capcom was like shifting priorities away from Mega Man and more towards Street Fighter and Resident Evil. Was that Capcom? Yeah. Sorry. And so we ended up getting, you know, several Mega Man games that were canceled. Mega Man Universe, Legends 3, Mega Man Online.
There was so much potential.
And then there was that. Did you see that first-person shooter Mega Man?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I think it was just called Maverick Hunter.
It was weird, yeah.
Yeah, it was like Metroid Prime meets Mega Man.
Yeah.
And so back in 2013, the supposed creator of Mega Man, even though he was just a glorified designer, character designer, he came up and said, hey, I'm leaving Capcom and I'm going to make my own spiritual successor to Mega Man, essentially like a bootleg Mega Man. And everyone at the time still had that resentment against Capcom. So they're like, yeah, fuck Capcom. Mighty Number 9, this is what we need.
Kind of like that fuck Konami that's going on right now.
Right. That's led to Bloodstained being crowdfunded. Same with like Shenmue and also what was it, Yooka-Laylee as well, where it's like, yeah, fuck Modern Rare,
fuck Rare, yeah, exactly.
Fuck Microsoft, yeah, you know, fuck nuts and bolts.
Yeah.
So you know, there as most of you know who are in the know when it comes to video game news, Mighty Number 9 was eventually crowdfunded, and after a long tumultuous history, it was eventually released last year in June after like 3 or 4 delays and several changes within like within the development. We eventually got Mighty Number 9, and it really did not live up to the hype.
Not at all.
So what was your experience throughout the entire development history of Mighty Number 9?
Nothing. I actually didn't keep up with it. As big as a fan as I was, I think I was just busy with life, busy playing other games.
Right, because this was during that transition, like it was like 2013 to 2016. So during this time, we were kind of moving away from college,
right,
and started going on into our new lives.
Yeah, exactly. But I heard of it, and I was super stoked. All the videos were coming out for it, and I was like, oh, Kickstarter, yeah, that's a thing. Never funded a single game though, ever, not once.
And if you've seen Kaiju's Corner, ladies and gentlemen, you know my history with Kickstarter.
So I didn't fund it, but I was still very excited and looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And actually, I didn't hear about it again until all the grumbling started about delays and lack of updates. And you were probably one of the ones who brought it up to my attention again.
I believe so. Yeah. I think I remember I showed you a particular episode detailing like the controversy surrounding Red Ash, where that was the Keiji Inafune's spiritual successor to Mega Man Legends, and everyone's like, "Wait, where's Mega Man? Where's Mighty Number 9? How dare you ask us for more money when you haven't delivered on your initial promise?"
One of the most successful Kickstarters for its time.
For its time, yeah. This was during like that time where Kickstarter was just starting to gain momentum. It was around this time where it's like, I think it was like Tim Schafer, the same dude behind Brutal Legend, I believe Tales from Monkey Island, and Grim Fandango. He was asking for using Kickstarter to get money for his games,
which really paved the way for other big games like what is it, the Castlevania,
Bloodstained, Ritual of the Night,
Ukulele,
Shovel Knight.
Oh yeah, Shovel Knight. Yeah.
Shantae Half Genie Hero, which I believe was like recently released. So it was like Mighty Number 9 was kind of like among that first quote-unquote generation of kickstarted games.
The big one,
yeah.
The big revival,
yeah. Because Mega Man is a pretty big icon in the video game industry. So to see like the next generation of Mega Man, you being crowdfunded was a big deal. And so, however, I've noticed a trend where a lot of the early Kickstarters, now the results are starting to come in from those early Kickstarter projects, and the results have been rather mixed. And it kind of goes to show, I believe, that just because you have a lot of money doesn't exactly mean that things are going to pan out well. And I think I've noticed from Kickstarter in general that for most of these people, they seem to think that once they have the money, all their problems are going to be solved. But I think one person individual on YouTube mentioned, maybe it was Pat the NES Punk. I'm not sure. Maybe it could have been someone else. He said like, this individual said that getting crowdfunding the money, that's only step one in like a 50-step process. And most people who have made Kickstarter projects, they don't really have a well thought out plan for what to do after
they get the money.
After they get the money, yeah.
Not only that, but they tend to get overly ambitious too.
Oh yeah, which was definitely the case with this game, where it made so many promises. I think like it promised to put the game, thanks to its what do you call it? Goals, stretch goals. Thank you very much. They want to make like a bunch of extra levels. They wanted to port the game to like 9 different consoles, handhelds, PC, Linux.
At the time, it's like, yeah, that's possible. You can do it. Oh yeah, because we'd never seen the result of one.
Right.
So
right.
it's like, yeah,
it's like, oh, this is a man with a lot of experience from Capcom.
Yeah. It's like you see a Kickstarter now promising all that. No, that's stopping you right there. We know that's not going to happen.
Right.
You're going in way over your head, and I wouldn't trust another developer like that.
Yeah, and it's like the simple rule of KISS: keep it simple, stupid. KISS. There are plenty of videos that have covered the tumultuous development history of Mighty Number 9. I do highly recommend a video that I showed you recently, Pete. It was a web series, a YouTube series called Past Mortem. I forgot what was the name of the YouTube channel, but definitely check that out. And there's another series called Game Soup. They've been going into like the details of the game mechanics, like the nitty-gritty details of game mechanics. And there's another YouTube channel called Gigaboots. I highly recommend that. They've been doing like videos that discuss Mega Man's Mighty Number 9's history as it was still going on. So let's get into the actual game, shall we? So let's get into the first things first is, I believe, the story.
Don't care.
Essentially.
It has the worst part of all the Mega Man all Mega Man games just combined into one. The worst, it's. Well, I guess the voice acting, but I guess that's not part of the story. If we're talking strictly story, It's your typical Mega Man game, right? I mean,
right? Like robots go crazy. This is the future where robots are a thing. They start to go out of control, start going crazy, including these certain robots called the Mighty Numbers. However, Mighty Number 9 himself, aka Beck, he's not affected for some reason because he's the latest and most advanced robot. So then his creator, Dr. White, sends him out on a mission to make his brothers and sisters good guys again and find out what's causing everyone to go crazy.
Right. And you know what? I don't mind that.
Right.
That doesn't bother me.
It's a simple process. Again, simple. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah. I guess my issue was the presentation.
Yes. So let's talk about voice acting.
Oh yeah. Just okay. So this is where it has the worst parts of any like 3D Mega Man game just combined and spit out into one.
Like characters talking through gameplay is a big one.
I don't know, man. It's just so embarrassing to play. It's not good voice acting, and it's not bad to the point where it's funny. It's just bad where it's embarrassing.
I think it's like they try to go on a very goofy Saturday morning cartoon route, but the thing is, it's not very funny.
No, it's not.
Like maybe if you could have made it as like a parody of Saturday morning cartoons rather than trying to play it as like a straight. It's kind of weird. It's like they're trying to be not ironically funny, but not like self-parody, self-satire funny. It's trying to be goofy, funny. Trying to be goofy and funny for like a general wide audience,
right?
Especially not little kids,
not too dark like the X series,
right.
A little light and jumpy, kind of like the regular Mega Man series, but
like herpy-dur,
even more so. If anything,
look at this guy. I'm Dr. Sanda. I'm the goofy scaredy cat. Herpy-dur.
Yeah, no kidding. And the character designs, like you said, while in 2D, they look very nice.
Oh yeah, very nice, stylish, slick.
And this like subpar 3D, it's just
everything looks like a very like plastic, like a shiny plastic, like or even like a wax model.
Right, and we have the game on right now.
Right.
And I'm just looking at the other Dr. White. It's just cheap plastic.
Yeah,
it's his hair. Oh gosh, but I mean graphics aren't a big thing for me. I could care less whether the graphics are great or whatnot, but it definitely doesn't help this game.
It's especially it's like with the game being as bland as it is and as average as it is, you're trying to look for something to latch onto, and those graphics are certainly not going to be the game's saving grace.
Exactly. Looking at Beck, again in 2D, I'm sure he would look great, but in this weird 3D. He just looks like so tiny, and his face is just so scrunched up.
And his arms look like they're kind of like bulked, like Popeye arms, where it's like it starts out skinny, and then his arms stretch open as you reach like the gloves.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just the designs were good. The 2D designs were good. They were great. I like the way they look. I like the way most things look. But it's just this cheap 3D that they decided to go with.
Yeah, and even like the level designs themselves all seem very bland. Like almost everything looks like a robot factory.
Yeah, you mentioned that earlier.
Like the war boss, the war dude. It's a robot military robot factory. The electric boss is a robot factory. The ice one is like some ice yet still robot looking factory. The second to final boss is a literal robot factory.
And let's not forget that the explosions look like pizza.
Of course, as everyone has famously commented on. So I think this also kind of transitions, like, since we've already talked about, like, the cringeworthy dialogue, the unfunny dialogue, the bad designs, the story that nobody really cares about. Although I will say, the twist in the end makes one of the character in particular come off as like a real dick.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's like, you just left a family member to rot in prison, essentially, and you show no remorse for that.
Yeah.
So, I guess it's a good point, since we talked about the look of the game, to move into gameplay-wise. So, what are your overall thoughts for this part of the game?
I get that they want to do not a copy of Mega Man, not an exact copy of Mega Man, but I fucking hate the dash system. I despise.
And this is like the main gimmick of the game.
It's the main freaking gimmick of the whole entire game.
Yeah, you use it to traverse the levels. You use it to absorb enemies. You use it to fight bosses.
He used to be named Jump and Shoot Man. He used to be Jump and Shoot Man. Not anymore.
Now he's jump shooting Dash Man.
God, I just no.
Yeah, go ahead.
Again, I think it's fine to experiment and do different things with the game. You don't want to come off as a carbon copy, but I think that's literally what people wanted. Like, well, you might say like, you don't want to give people the same old thing. That's kind of what they were looking for in Mighty Number 9.
Right. Especially since like games like Mega Man Universe seem to have been trying to go in that direction. Just give a classic Mega Man, but with like maybe a fresh coat of paint.
Look at Mega Man 9 and 10. They took Mega Man back to its roots, based off Mega Man 2 gameplay, and Mega Man 9 did really well. And I think when people got Mega Man 10, I think they didn't take it as warmly.
Yeah, because like it felt like number 9 was like a one-time gimmick, nostalgic gimmick sort of thing.
Yeah, I think they could have done that for a Mega Man. Basically, do it for the X series. Instead of making Mega Man 10, they could have made Mega Man X9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But instead, we got this one where they try to give it one gimmick. It's funny enough, the Kickstarter promoted an ability kind of similar to, well, the way they worded it made it sound similar to the gimmick of Mega Man 04, where you can like absorb certain abilities from enemies and use these abilities to traverse levels in different ways. But here they used it as a absorption gimmick, where you absorb not abilities but just power-ups from enemies, and these power-ups, they are never explained. So basically you have the blue power-up, which is the most common one. You use it to fill up a
special weapon meter, is it?
A meter, to fill up a meter that you can use to regain health.
E-tanks. It's basically E-tank health.
But for those of you who don't know Mega Man, E-tanks were also power-ups in the game, in the old Mega Man games, that allowed you to refill your health bar. But yeah, it's best to call them E-tanks for the sake of simplicity. So yeah, you've used the blue power-up to fill up your E-tanks, which I will get into how broken they are. There's the red power-up, which makes your Mega Buster
go through solid objects.
Go through solid objects and more powerful. The yellow one
might be a defense boost, I think.
I think so, yeah. You get less damage, that's the one I noticed the least. And finally, the green power-up makes you faster. And most of these I really don't notice outside the Mega Buster one. And usually, I would say that the blue one is the most useful. However, the problem is, because of how cheap these levels are, you will die a lot. And every time you die, you lose any progress you've made towards filling up your E-tanks. So if you want to, if you're fighting a boss and you die, you're like, oh, I don't want to use my E-tank now. I'll save it for later.
You done goofed.
You lose it. Or if you don't use the E-tanks at all and successfully beat the boss, hoping to save those E-tanks for the next level, you lose them.
Better reward me.
And so, most of the time, most of the time, the only way you can get your E-tanks are if you die at many times in the level, so a robot will come and help you and just give you an E-tank.
Hey, you suck. Take this.
Or it'll give you those useless power-ups we mentioned before that you barely notice.
Right.
So, I would say, yeah, the switching out the ability to gain abilities in favor of these power-ups, I think is pretty lazy. And the fact that I don't know, it's a really poor way of trying to implement power-ups into the dash system, because in most traditional video games you get power-ups throughout the level,
right,
as opposed to having to
and they're there they're there to reward you too. Oh, you took this upper path that not many people would find or take, or that's really hard to get to. Have a shield, have some extra coin. I'm thinking I have Sonic on the head right now. So yeah, there's
the only pick up power-ups you can pick up are just health power-ups and
one-ups
that
are also really confusing for each other,
right, because they almost look the same.
Yeah.
And let's see, anything else regarding the dash system?
I hate it.
My biggest problem with the dash system is that because the game requires you, it's the thing, it tries to be a Mega Man game, where the Mega Man games...
It tries to be a Mega Man X game, and it pisses me off because I feel like I'm playing Mega Man X, and then I try to dash against a wall, and then I fall down and die.
The thing is, for Mega, like you mentioned, like most people think of Mega Man as the jump and shoot games, where you use projectiles to shoot enemies from afar. And because of how dangerous it is to be close to these enemies, you would want to damage these enemies from afar. But no, you can't, because the game wants you to use the dash system so badly, it forces you to get up close and personal to these enemies that you'd rather want to shoot at a distance from.
Right. Not only that, but you shoot the enemy like a certain number of times. It's I guess it's just a getting used to of the game. But for me, my experience was I would shoot an enemy. All right, he's dead, and I just walk up to him and get hit. Because while they're in that phase, I can still get damaged by them.
And that leads to like the boss battles, where in order to beat the bosses, you need to shoot them a certain number of times, and then dash into them, and then quickly get out of there, because now they're going to hit you again. So again, I hate being up close, dangerous, especially when there's an enemy behind the enemy that you're trying to punch. Like, if you're trying to absorb an enemy, there might be another enemy right behind it that can shoot you while you finish absorbing the first enemy. So I think it's just really clunky, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. Remember, like, I think it was in Mega Man 3, the top spin, and using the top spin on enemies, and how it almost always got you hit?
Yeah.
That's this game.
And let's see. Moving from the... Oh yeah, the dash. In terms of, since we've talked about dash, let's move to the level design. Because the game requires you to dash a lot, it feels like it's made for more like speedrunners. Yes, for speedrunning. For those who don't know what speedrunning is when you complete a game as fast as possible. Kind of like what you would find in like a Sonic game, or no, rather the 3D Sonic games. That just has you, like, you know, bursting through levels as fast as possible to get that A rank. And this game wants you to get an A rank. There's, like, a grading system. They're constantly rewarding you. Like, good, great, speedrunner, excellent, awesome, amazing. It's trying to shower you with praise for how fast you're completing these levels. And eventually rewarding you with, like, a letter grade.
Right, which Mega Man Zero did that as well.
And so, because it's made for going through levels as fast as possible, the majority of these levels are actually extremely linear. Like, if you look at the map of any NES or SNES Mega Man game, you know, they're a very complex system of mazes. You know, you go up, you go forward, you go down, you go left, you go right. For most of these levels, you just go straight forward from A to B, kind of like a Mario game. But a Mario game, you know, requires a lot of precise jumping. However, this isn't a Mario game. This is one that has you, blasting through levels as fast as possible. So, as it turns out, the dashing and plus the linear levels kind of makes everything kind of bland and forgettable, on top of the fact that most of these levels look like robot factories.
Right.
And speaking of level designs, there are a lot... It feels like there are a lot of cheap elements to these levels. I'm not sure. What do you think? Does it look like this is more like the fair but challenging yet fair type of difficulty you'd find in the older Mega Man games, or is this just like cheap difficulty?
I don't know. I feel like old Mega Man games had some cheap difficulty too. I think it's a mix of the two with a little bit more cheap zones. A lot of just like ridiculous, like, oh, jump of faith, hope you don't die moments. But for the most part, it wasn't too rage-inducing for me. I will say that.
Okay, especially, I guess, if you play through these levels enough time, you begin to learn, like, the secrets of these levels and just start to pass through.
Did you say secrets? Because this game has none.
Oh, that is true. There are no, like, secret hints or anything like that. Actually, there are hints. They're just super cryptic and kind of pointless in the end.
Well, and it's not even that. It's just, like... I mentioned this before. Even Mega Man 1 had the magnet line that you could find, and it would reward you, and you'd be able to use it as other ways to get through the level.
Or like the Hadouken power weapon from Mega Man X1.
Yeah, this game offers nothing to reward me for going out of my way other than health and lives.
Most of the extra stuff is just DLC.
Right? No, well, I'm talking about like the armor upgrades from the X games, or like
no charge shot, no sliding kick.
Not even that. More like Rush, finding like the Rush jet, or acquiring the Rush jet,
or like powered up. Like beating bad guys with just the Mega Buster, you unlock them.
Right. Or like how like in I think it was in 6, if you collected or 7, like the beat letters. You'd be able to use beat.
Okay.
Yeah, just like little things like that, little things to collect that would eventually be able to help you in the way. There's nothing like that, which means there's no replay value.
Technically, if you beat the game, then you unlock some boss rush mode or so like maniac mode or whatever. It's like just like you can play the whole game again, only it's now harder. Or you beat it with Ray, so now you beat the Ray level. Now you can play as Ray with harder difficulty. Speaking of Ray, her gimmick is that she fights enemies with her claws, so she goes up close and personal, and her health is constantly draining, so you need to absorb enemies, not for power-ups, but rather to regain your health. The only problem is that if you lose health through damage, then you cannot gain that health back.
Not until you recover your health like you normally would through a health piece.
Through a health power-up. So it's like... it kind of goes against the whole gimmick of her, I thought. Just like, she's like this vampire character, which I kind of dig. So as her health depletes, you need to keep getting more enemies. But if you already took damage from these enemies, and your health is still depleting, you cannot fully recover 100% your health. So it's like the game's mechanic is in constant conflict with the gimmick of the character.
Right.
You're supposed to gain health, but you can't gain health.
Yeah, I don't get it either.
Right.
But again, one of my personal peeves is the lack of little goodies to find. I remember, I know it's not Mega Man X. I know that
it's spiritual successor.
But one of the moments I remember most were getting the dash boots in Mega Man X. I know he's already got the dash. Well, I don't care. I'm just saying, the whole moment of, speaking of Dr. Light, getting in the capsule and being bestowed those dash shoes, I never felt that way in this game.
There's no sense of like there's no sense of accomplishment in this game.
Right.
You beat the game and you don't feel like you're rewarded in any sense. You don't get a sense of satisfaction when you beat any level in this game.
Mega Man 2, in this case, after you beat a certain level, you get item 1, item 2, item 3, or the rush jet, rush coil, just something.
It's just very basic.
Yeah, and I maybe they're saving that for the next game, because it's the first game. You don't add so much stuff. I don't know, but I think it was just a complete step backwards, considering all the work he's done with the Mega Man games. It's like, I don't know. It was one of my biggest peeves.
The Mega Man Zero games, which I believe he had more control over. Because Keiji Inafune, he created Zero, so he wanted Zero to take over. Even those games had some reward system, right? With the what are they called? Those little Navi fairy cyber elves.
The cyber elves. It was not only that; it was the cyber elves, but also if you did really good in missions, that's usually how you got your special moves, or that was one of the ways.
Right, you had upgradable weapons, right?
Yes, you had upgradable weapons that you can just upgrade just by using them, but you can unlock actual moves and actual power-ups by getting higher ranks. And sure, that locked in behind a skill wall, but at least you're rewarded. At least
there's something to work towards.
Yeah, in this game, there's nothing like that.
And let's see. To move ahead to the... what do you want to talk about, the bosses or the boss weapons first?
It honestly doesn't matter. The bosses to me are very not memorable at all. So I can't even name them for you. And
frustrating at points, especially when the characters are constantly talking, so they may speak over certain audio cues that you need to be on the lookout for. Especially Pyrogen. He would say something before he goes in for his insta-kill move, and of course the characters are keep flapping their mouths, so you can't hear that audio cue.
Right.
Let's see. Anything else? They're rather easy bosses, I believe.
Pretty simple.
Especially when you have go through the whole get their weaknesses, which the game goes out of its way to tell you what the weaknesses are if you happen to have them. So usually they go down really fast with the weaknesses, which I guess is a Mega Man tradition. But because how the game is made, usually in a Mega Man game, when you hit a boss with a weakness, they use usually like a pause moment where
some kind of stagger. At least in the X series.
where they become invincible and you can't shoot them for like a second and a half. Here, it's not that's not the case. You know, you can shoot them as many times as you want in rapid succession.
Well, to compensate for that huge life bar that they all get.
True, and as a result of that, you know, being able to hit them as many times as you want with no stagnation. The Mega Buster, you can essentially use the Mega Buster to beat all the enemies.
Right.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's not even that you can just use the Mega Buster, it's that the other weapons are also really boring.
Yeah, it's also that.
Even if the Mega Buster was overpowered, but they had, like, complementary weapons that were fun to use or were different to use. No, I mean, and I guess we're just going to talk about the weapons now. They're very situational.
Yeah. So especially so let's take a look at like the helicopter blade one. You use it to jump really high and hover, which is kind of useless because you can already use the dash system to hover and leap over large distances, and the helicopter blade itself has a stupidly short range.
Right. I think the only time it's ever really used is when it's mandatory, either to get to a higher area or to traverse through spikes.
Right.
That's the only time where it's actually like, you know, well, I could actually see myself using it.
Let's see. So the next weapon, what is the I believe the fire one, right? Right.
Yes.
So you have to hold the button down, and so the longer you can hold it, then you can unleash a big giant explosion around surrounding enemies. However, the problem is that you want to shoot...
Not a fire explosion, sir. A pizza explosion.
Oh, that's right, a pizza explosion. I guess the issue with this weapon is that I think the problem is it takes too long for the weapon to charge in order for it to do any sort of serious range of damage. Right. Especially when we have the rocket launcher attack, which does the same thing, but better, which we'll get to that one. So let's see. The next one on the list would be the rocket launcher. So the rocket launcher, I love. I feel like it's like the Metal Blade of the game.
It's like the Metal Blade and the Crash Bomber
combined. Yeah. So you shoot a rocket launcher at enemies, and it does a large number of. It does actually multiple hits within and has a very large hitbox.
I guess the reason why we look at it as
the Metal Blade.
The Metal Blade is because it has a lot of ammo.
Yes,
that's why that's the attribute it has. But other than that,
it has a lot of power.
Yeah,
and you can use it for any situation, I believe, especially when you're being surrounded by so many enemies.
Yes.
And the problem I have with a lot of these weapons is that because the game wants you to use the dash system to finish off every single enemy, they ended up nerfing all the weapons. so there's almost no way you can use these weapons to properly finish off these enemies because they're just as weak as the Mega Busters. So, because again, they want you to weaken the enemies first, then rely on the dash system.
Which again it slows me down. I know people have perfected it and they know how to go really fast with it, but that's just not what I'm looking for in a game.
And that's why I love the rocket launcher, because you can say fuck the dash system. The rocket launcher is the only one that's powerful enough to actually deal some decent damage to actually kill these enemies. And so that's what I ended up using most of the time. Let's see. The next weapon...
That's your favorite one.
Oh, goody. It's like the bulldozer one.
Yeah, That's like the best one in the game. Best in the game. 10 out of 10. We'll do again.
It's a one where you dash, which is it's not like you can already dash to begin with, and leave except this one type of dash leaves you wide open for attack.
Right. You dash in, hit the enemy, recoil, and go, and then...
do it again.
Yeah, do it again.
Except, you need a flat terrain to really, gain, that type of momentum. And you can't really do that when there are so many, platforms to jump across. And the only time I ever used it was for the boss fight that it's strong against. Even then, it's a little finicky to use it because you need to, jump on the character's head like a pogo stick. Let's see. The next one is
not only that. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No. I was going to talk about this one.
The ice one.
Yes.
Ice attack. Okay. So if there's one thing to note about the ice attack is that this one, a lot of people have found good use for, because it seems to be to freeze your enemies and make them susceptible to dashes more quickly than other weapons. And the best part is that it can leave damage over time. So you shoot a character with ice, and then that character will gain more damage as time progressed, because there's still like ice left on that character to damage it. So anyways, what were you going to say?
I just realized I can't stand on a frozen enemy, and it made me mad.
It doesn't turn the enemy into an ice block like in older Mega Man games.
Well, it does. He's literally an ice block, but I can't stand on him.
But he doesn't turn into like a platform.
Right. But, I mean, look at that. Does that not look like a platform? I wish you could show this.
It's actually square shaped.
Gosh, whatever. Doesn't matter.
But I've seen players use the ice weapon for several bosses. I've started using myself, but not as often as the rocket launcher. So let's see. So we have two weapons that are actually pretty useful. So what would be the next weapon? It would be the blade. The scissor blade, which is actually the most broken one because it takes no damage. Oh, you could charge it for like a flurry of attacks, like that looks like Meta Knight's attack from Brawl, except it's rather pointless because you're better off just using it as like this for swiping. And when you're swiping, it turns you almost like invisible to projectile attacks. So in a way, it's useless. It's unintentionally one of the most most useful ones for bosses, and it can be very helpful when you're facing off against that super cheap final boss. Next one the last two are actually the most useless ones. One being the electricity one, where you shoot a bunch of stingers and pray to God that one or two of them will hit something. And when you do, it will slowly drain health from the enemy, as like those stingers will then unleash some form of electricity. Although it takes a long time for it to do any damage, so you're better off using like the rocket launcher or anything else. Yeah, I've practically like never used it. And the last one would be the sniper rifle, which only allows you 3 shots for a weapon that bounces everywhere
and goes through enemies too.
Yeah, and it takes forever to charge. Yeah. So you're better off to use again, anything else. So really these weapons feel like poor substitutions for like the Mega Buster. Right. With the exception of say like the ice weapon and the rocket launcher maybe. Yeah. Oh boy. So, let's see, anything else to cover with this game?
To add? I mean, what else can be said? I think that's it.
So yeah, we cover story, nobody cares, and cringe and really unfunny and not interesting in the least.
How about the ad campaign?
The what?
The ad campaign.
Ad campaign.
The one that everyone loved. Yeah.
Well, that depends, man. Did this game make you feel like an anime cry? Did this game make you cry like an anime fan on prom night?
I think it did. It broke my heart. it really broke my heart.
Yeah, you were really looking forward to a new like a genuine like Mega Man-esque experience.
Mm-hmm. And you know what the worst part is? I bought it knowing it was bad. Oh, but not only did I just buy it.
However, how much money did you actually spend?
Not like a single penny.
Like, did you spend like
$2 maybe?
$2 on the collector's edition?
Yeah. I was like, all right, well, you know what? I'm just gonna trade in a whole bunch of games that I don't play. I would never buy this game new. I would never, ever do that. The only reason why I bought it was because I love Mega Man, and it was a big part of my childhood. Mm-hmm. So, I went out of my way and I got the collector's edition.
Mm-hmm. Which, funny enough, came with a downloadable code for the PS3 version, which is what I played when I was in Japan. And I gotta say, the gameplay, like, for Mega Man Mighty Number 9, it's a really average experience, average to forgettable. But the PS3 version, holy shit, is there a lot wrong with it?
Right. So it's funny.
Just put in a clip of Guilford Godfrey going, "Holy fuck, is it wrong?"
It's really funny because this whole time while you were playing on the PS3 and I was on the PS4, I'm like, what are you talking about? Game, yeah, it's subpar, but whatever, it's fine. I can deal with it. And then you showed me what it looked like on the PS3, and holy crap, it's a whole...
Yeah, like stuttering frame rates, like laggy as fuck. The visuals are blurry. Everything looks very compressed. There's a strange white outline around all the character models.
Right.
Everything's all pixelated and blurry.
Right, I had no idea what you were talking about. So
the game would freeze and stutter like every 2 or 3 minutes, which is really helpful when you're trying to go through those spike-infested parts of the levels.
By the way, I should add that the collector's edition, basically, it includes a foil signature of Keiji Inafune. That's a selling point, by the way.
A foil signature. What is a foil signature?
I have no freaking idea. It's just on the box, signed by Keiji Inafune.
Like with an actual marker?
No, it just looks great.
Printed.
It's just printed. Yeah. Apparently, that's part of the selling point. I was like, what is a foil signature? And then I saw it, and it was just
a cheap little printed on little thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And how was the figure that it came with?
Yeah, you know what? It looked nice. I didn't take it out of the box, so
you don't know how the quality is.
I think it came with a different face in case I wanted to change some stuff out.
Yeah, you want to make him feel like he's just suffering just as much as you do with an angry face.
Exactly. But you know, I didn't get it for that. I got it for me. You know, I got it for memories, and I probably won't get the next game that comes out. You know, it was just a little favor I did to not a favor, it was just something for me. I really don't know how to describe it.
Yeah. Well, you know, a significant amount of time has passed, and strangely, you know, Keiji Inafune has been very silent as to what's gonna happen to the future of Mighty No. 9 and its supposed animated series, its live action movie, its Red Ash spinoff. So who knows what has happened?
The animated series for Mighty No. 9, the little promo that they had for it looked horrible. It looked ugly as hell. Did not like it. Would not watch. Never again. Nope. Count me out.
1 out of 10 would not bang.
Yeah.
So, what are your overall final thoughts for Mighty No. 9?
Final thoughts.
Or final rating, whatever is comfortable for you.
I think it's not as bad as everyone says, but it definitely deserves the hate that it gets. It's not a bad game. It's a boring game. It's a decent game, but a very boring one. I wouldn't recommend anyone to really play it. It's just an average platformer. If you're looking for something different, and if it was like $5, that's a worthy price tag for this. It's definitely not the game anyone was waiting for.
I mean, right now it's probably for $20 new, which I think is still too much.
Yeah, exactly. This is like $5 off the Steam sale page worthy. And I've bought games for $5 that I found worthy of more money than this.
So maybe a little less than $5.
I mean, I really don't know, but all I know is it definitely deserves the hate that it gets. But is it a bad game? No. Is it a good game? No. It's just a game.
It's a thing.
It's a thing.
It's a thing.
It's a thing that happened in 2016. One of the many things that happened in 2016.
Right. And probably it's going to be a lesson to many Kickstarter future crowdfunding projects that could probably take a page from Mighty No. 9 and see just, you know, what happens when you try to be overly ambitious.
Yeah, don't do it.
Again, keep it simple, stupid. So, yeah, I agree with you. It's when dealing with the PS4 version, it is a rather forgettable experience. It'll make you want to play, you know, better side-scrolling shooter games. And it's going to lead to a lot of frustrations as you progress to where it's like you're not going to really want to go back and play this game, really.
I haven't played it since I didn't beat the game.
You were actually one boss away from beating it, but
you know what? I gotta stop right there and just talking about the
final boss.
No, I don't even care about the final boss. You know what I care about?
What do you care about?
I care about the call mission.
Oh.
I don't know how.
Wasn't that such an amazing stretch goal? Aren't you glad they raised enough money to make that damn thing?
You know that that drops it from an okay game to I hate this game and I just want to break it into tiny pieces. That's where I stopped playing, and I'm pretty sure it was because of that level. Just because, you know what? At that point, I had played the subpar game, and then that just broke me. That itself just broke me.
All right then. So, I would say play this game only if you're super curious about wanting to play a fantastic train wreck. But even then, it's not really as as big of a train wreck as like Sonic 06, where it's like there's so much wrong with it.
Right.
Whereas here it's just like, oh, here's an annoying thing. Oh, here's another. It's like a bunch of little annoying things that just culminate together into a very frustrating, unforgettable, and bland experience. But the PS3 version, that game version can go fuck itself. So I'm gonna give the PS3 version a 1 out of 5, and the PS4 version a 2 out of 5. Yeah. Definitely stay away from the PS3 version. If you're going to play this game, play anything else, other version, although I hear that the Wii U version might be just as bad. So, those have been our thoughts on Mighty Number 9. Thank you very much, Pete, for being here. It's really great to collaborate with you again.
Always a pleasure.
And while we may be living in in two separate countries, it's always good to know that, you've got my back as much as I've got yours, man.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
So, hope you've enjoyed it, ladies and gentlemen. I have been Andres Perez, aka Kaiju Noir.
And Pete.
And until next time, everybody, take care.